Imagine 6 years. 6 years of positive returns on the Dow and the S&P. This year, more than 6% higher than the average on the S&P. And I think so many of us are worried about valuation, worried about maybe today or the last couple of days. I wouldn't. I think the opportunity today is as strong as it was in the last couple of years. I think valuations are right where you want them to be, and I think we should be excited about where the United States is. It's a very powerful time for us.
Well, it's hard to say. There's been so much volatility. I think that's the only thing you can count on. And in volatile times, there's definitely a flight to quality. Small caps don't necessarily represent that school of thinking.
Right.
So, people are searching for yield. And I think, now that investing in Russia is not as safe, there's a lot of geopolitical tension. So I think that what you're seeing with small caps is just chasing yield. But in general, the volatility is going to force people to go into safer opportunities. And I don't necessarily think that this is going to be a big year for small caps.
We all know that China's economy is the slowest it's been in 25 years. So that's nothing new. The question is, what does it mean? Liquidity for China is how you play this market. It's not about the macro. So central bank has just dumped $250 billion into the market. They've had a number of stimulus measures. They're weakening their currency. This is an elixir for an export economy. China is going higher. It's a cheap market, too. It's not expensive.
Well, here's the thing that worries me about China is that they are trying to manage, they're trying to pop a credit bubble. And if they're successful, they will be the first central bank in the history of the world to be able to do this without a disaster. So to me, there's a huge risk that you have a credit crisis in China in 2015. They put, you mentioned it, Tim, over $200 billion into their economy, most of that into the banks. I mean, this is stuff that nobody even talks about.
Policy.
Policy, but the banks are bankrupt. They're bankrupt. That's
we
why
all
they did
know
it.
that
We
China
put
story.
Wait, I got 7 more seconds. We put $700 billion into the banks in the U.S. during the biggest crisis in the whole world. Within 3 months, China's done about a third of it.
Yes, I think that the bull market in the dollar is really only just begun. Of course, there'll be corrections along the way, but I think you can see par relative to the euro over the course of the next year. I think you're going to see 150 yen to the dollar, if not higher for the dollar over the course of the next year. The only currencies I think that may actually hold well against the U.S. dollar will be other dollars. The Canadian dollar, the Aussie, the New Zealand may do reasonably well, but the big currencies are going to continue to weaken. The dollar is going to continue to strengthen. And if you wish to own gold, there is absolutely no reason to own gold in dollar terms. There is every reason, however, to own gold in yen-denominated terms or in euro-denominated terms, because those currencies are going to weaken as their central banks continue to expand their monetary bases in both instances.